What were they trying to do to you?
Superman always attacks Grundy.
I was trying to help you.
Help yourself!
Hello, this is Duke of Fortune Man, here with a Grundy guide for both beginners and veteran players. I'm going to start with the basics, move information, stuff like that, then move on to his strategies for winning. Grundy, while a very strong character, does a lot of work at first, then gains momentum and wrecks. I put in a table of contents if you need to get anywhere specific. Otherwise, I'm going to start with Grundy's movement. He's surprisingly fast for such a heavy hitter, and you can see that in his forward dash, which covers a ton of space and has fast recovery. Use this to close a gap fast, or just to intimidate people into pressing buttons. Next, we have his backdash. Backdashes are a big thing in this game, and Grundy doesn't have a great one, unlike, say, Wonder Woman, Catwoman, or the Flash. Grundy's backdash doesn't have much invincibility, and doesn't move too far, but it recovers fast, and that's important. His jump is kinda slow and travels in a lazy arc. Anyone with a good anti-air will be able to smack a raw jump in, so Grundy players should, for the most part, stick to the ground unless you can jump safely. Next are Solomon's normals. He's got a few really strong normals and strings, and for the most part that's what he should stick to, mixed around to be creative. His standing one is his jab, and it hits mid over a pretty far range, which is great, no ducking against Grundy. 12 frame startup, it's not fast, but not that slow either. You can go from jabs into grab setups or full strings, mix it up to throw your opponents off balance. His big string from this is 1-1-2, which is semi-safe. Going from this string into specials is a big combo starter, and can make you safely. They can jab in the middle of the string, but burning a meter to armor your special can often catch them pressing a button. You can also go into 1-1-3, which is a little safer on block, and can lead into combos as well at the right spacing. Lesser used, but still good. Another great tool is Solomon's forward 1, his low poke. It has surprising range, so you can footsie with this, and it's one of his best tools for mixing up, more on that later. Forward 1-3 is your main string with this move, as it sets up trait on both hit and block. He also has forward 1-2-2, which is an okay string because it gives a lot of frame advantage when blocked, but it can be interrupted rather easily in the middle, though I don't have the footage here, trust me, it's slow. His standing overhead, that's not his forward 3, is his back 1. Its overhead, obviously, covers a decent area, and actually guarantees a reset into trait on hits. Here's a link to the tech. But since it's slow and short on range though, it's not too safe to use in neutral, you'll get hit out of it. It's really there for resetting off of a meter burn swamp hands. Next is his crouching 1. I have so many good things to say about this normal. It has good range, and is +3 on block, plus significantly more on hit. It has 11 frame startup, so it's not the fastest normal, but it's one of his most important tools, hands down. It can interrupt pressure, and it's a major tool for most of his frame traps. It also sets up a ton of trade throws. Everyone has their big slow overhead, and some people can make good use of it, and some suck at it. Grundy's version of the universal ground bounce, his forward 3 overhead, has a few uses despite a very slow startup. It is frame positive on block, and can lead to some decent pressure. It also leads to good damage on hits, without using meter, and you can armor it to catch people pressing buttons. But because it's slow, it's best to use it on the opponent's wake up, or to armor it, by using meter. And an honorable mention to his 3-3 string. It's slow, unwieldy, and can be interrupted halfway, but it does give absolutely massive frame advantage on block. Only use it when you have a safe chance to insert it. On wake up and when they're not expecting it. I don't like it, but decide for yourself. Finally, we have his jumping normals. His jumping 1 is rather quick, and seemingly covers a large area behind him. It looks a lot like Joker's and Black Adam's amazing jumping 2s, with their capacity to cross up from pretty much anywhere. Don't be fooled. Grundy's foot swing is not nearly as good as this, and it whiffs a lot of the time when you'd expect it to hit. It can hit under them, however, when they're directly under your foot. And you should be aiming for that area if you're trying to jump in like that. His jumping medium has a large hitbox, and is your main jump in for starting combos. It also gets some free frames on block, so you don't get smacked afterwards. Unfortunately, this is not as much the case with jumping 1. Nor is it true for jumping 3. Honestly, I find little or no use for jumping 3. I don't like it at all. Also, not a normal, but it's good to note how long a range Grundy has on his throw. Take a look. Let's talk about Grundy's specials, starting with Cleaver Spin. He picks a cleaver up out of his back and smacks the opponent with it. It covers a lot of space, and hits overhead, and causes a fixed knockdown. You can put it in strings, but it's unsafe on block. The meter burn causes a large ground bounce, which can be followed up with more attacks very easily. The meter burn also has armor, allowing you to power through some zoning and jump-ins, among other things. His walking corpse is definitely one of his most important tools for mix-ups, movement, and specific matchups. He runs forward and grabs the opponent, covering a ton of space. It can't be blocked, but allows them to tech roll after the knockdown. The meter burn, however, does not allow them to roll back up. I'm calling this a fixed knockdown because I don't know the actual term for it. It also switches sides, which is really useful if you're getting backed into a corner. It has 3 hits of armor for the meter burn or non-meter burn version. And, like his space-covering armor moves, it's a good way to get in on people pressing buttons. Even more importantly, you can cancel Grundy's walking corpse into neutral by inputting down back, essentially giving you a slow armored dash. Generally, people are calling this a walking corpse cancel. It doesn't cover space nearly as fast as his wave dash. Either way, use the tool sparingly, and when the opponent throws out an attack, you can armor through the move, and get a free combo while they're in recovery, which with Grundy almost always means heavy damage. However, since Grundy's normals have slower startup than a lot of people, walking corpse canceling pressure into more pressure doesn't exactly give you Cabal strings. Next is his Grave Rot, which causes unblockable proximity damage very, very slowly. Okay. The meter burn version reduces the recovery of the move, and does a bit more damage. A lot more damage, actually. Because it has a decently long recovery time, it's not good at all in pressure or neutral. Even the meter burn version, despite the shortened recovery, is still pretty bad. There's times when you can use this mid-combo or during mix-ups, but generally, it's only useful for a bit of extra damage now and then in specific setups. Dead Air is without a doubt the worst of Grundy's many throws. It chucks them far away, and doesn't really allow for follow-ups, and is crazy negative on block. It can actually be blocked, and look at this terrible recovery. The meter burn version actually allows for some extension in combos, but isn't always worth using for the damage. The only real use for the meter burn, I feel, is to switch sides, but that's for later. On to the next move, which happens to be one of his best. Swamp Hands is Grundy's only ranged move, which happens to be a tracking low hit that lets him hold his own against zoners. That's already great, but it gives frame advantage on block, and allows him some safety. On hit, it puts the opponent into a knockdown state, and from that you can continue pressuring your opponent. When meter burns, the move becomes +2 on block, and gets a bit of armor, and on hit, the hands hold the opponent still for follow-ups. You can get conversions off full screen from this, which is nice. A bit more on that in the combo section. It works in strings, though they can be interrupted. A little dash of meter will fix that, though, and it leads to some excellent damage. Meter Burn Swamp Hands is one of Grundy's best uses for his meter. Next on the list is To the Grave, Grundy's anti-air throw. It has very fast startup at 5 frames, and does beat out a lot of moves. It throws them to the other side, and can't be followed with a combo. It does put them in a fixed knockdown, though. I prefer his uppercut, with its still very fast 8-frame startup, and full combo follow-ups, but both are perfectly usable, so take your pick. To the Grave is good though, specifically, for the 5-frame startup, the side switch, and the fixed knockdown, which can lead into mix-ups. Oh, and Grundy's supers in this section too. With Gravedigger, he goes into a fully armored state, and every button on the air or ground becomes a throw into a damaging, truly badass sequence of hits. While armored, Grundy moves and jumps much faster, and his throw/attack recovers quickly upon landing. He can even do basic combos into his super. Check it out. Problem is, this combo right here uses up 1 meter from the same starter, and does more damage. Between breakers, neutral, and extension, there are way better uses for his meter. The Pain Chain is Solomon Grundy's trait. It's 1 button that starts all of his chain grabs. Small notes: it whiffs on an enemy and grounded hit stun. The first hit can be clashed, the follow-ups cannot. Meter doesn't change this.
To piss me off.
Can't stop, Grundy!
If you burn meter on it, the grab gets armor, and this is a good YOLO tool or wake-up option. The move itself has 3 follow-ups with their own inputs and timings. The follow-ups themselves give you permanent buffs, and knock down the opponent differently. Each has its uses. Before I go into this, a warning. I don't know the exact window for the inputs, and there's already a movie on that. I'll put up the link. But I get mine all the time barring extreme lag. And this is the timing I use, so take that how you will. It's also good to note, every hit of the Pain Chain is a fixed knockdown. Power Chain is his first follow-up. It boosts Solomon's damage output. By itself, it does 25% damage. To do it, press forward back on the first slam, right here. Then the second input while he brings them down for the second slam. And there you have it. Mid-screen, it keeps them close enough for a forward string after the knockdown, as well as dashes and attacks. Use this ender when you have a good lead, or they lack a wake-up option mid-screen. It's also good for hype.
Grundy, don't stop!
There is one reason for not finishing this chain, because the halfway mark switches sides, and works well when you're cornered. Suddenly, they're cornered. Health Chain is the second follow-up. This is the one I use all the time, as it does the most damage at 31% raw, and has one of my favorite buffs, damage resistance. If you notice, Frost Daggers go down from 11% damage to 9%. To input this one, press down-down trait on the first slam as usual. Then up-up trait during the hit of the second one, and Grundy will start dribbling. When fishing for positioning early in a round, you should try to land this quickly, as it'll make the following trades, ranged or close up, a lot more favorable for you. A little bit of damage saved adds up fast. You also save a bit of health when armoring through stage transitions, which means you can be a bit more courageous with your punishes. A downside, Health Chain leaves them further away than Power Chain, and results in a bit less momentum mid-screen. Another downside is you don't get any quotes. Defense Chain is the final follow-up. This is his least commonly used, with the least damage at 21%, and it has my least favorite buff, chip resistance. But it is damn good when you realize just how much chip it resists. Take a look, it's pretty noticeable. This one's a little bit different on the timing. Input the down-up during the first slam as always. Then when he picks them up and raises them just a bit, input the up-down. He'll choke them in swamp stuff, then toss them away. This one throws them really far away, and so you have to do some work to stay in. That plus the situational buff and low damage, it isn't that impressive, and it's my least favorite throw by far. It does have one use though. If you're winning by a lot and you want to go for a timeout, the distance and chip resistance can help you turtle against zoners. Ares, for example, has to go in if he wants damage, and the teleport's really punishable. Aquaman also gets in an awkward spot, so do others. But that's really specific, and most of the time you don't want to go for this. Chip resistance may help also against stuff like Green Lantern's absurd chip, but I find damage resistance is still more useful for this matchup. And now we get to the next part of this video, where I talk about the game plan, Grundy's general game plan, starting with combos. These are just some simple B&Bs off different confirms. Very simple. And I'll keep my comments to a minimum, because they're pretty self-explanatory. And cue the music. A brief note, overcomplicated combos aren't really that necessary for Grundy. As you can see from this, it gets 3 more hits than the previous combo, and does 2% less damage. I have other examples throughout. On the Walking Corpse meter burn conversion, the timing of doing down 2 into 1-1 trade is easier, but if you take it out, it increases the damage by a little bit. This next combo is it without the down 2. It does even more if you take out the 1-1-2 and just make it 1-1 trade. And there's combos. Now I'm going to move on to how you play the game with Grundy. His opening game isn't brain dead, as there's not just one move you can spam at the start of the match. But he wants that meter, so winning the first hit helps a lot. So what you can do at the start is see what they're going to do, and if they try one of those brain dead openings, you can walk and corpse right through it. Cancel into neutral if you want, if you can, whatever works for the matchup, and get yourself a full combo. This is character dependent, but useful for establishing momentum either way. Once you land that first hit, Solomon has a way of building momentum. If you land that opening walking corpse, you have the option of enhancing it and using the fixed wake up to start more mix-ups. Against characters with less amazing zoning moves, you have the option of throwing out a few jabs or a forward 1 string right away. Another strategy is backing off and fishing for a swamp hand or interactable hit for that first meter. Once you have that meter, you can use the meter burn swamp hands to close in space. Having the meter over other characters really helps your corner push game. Generally, to get in, you're looking to play footsies with your forward 1 strings, anti-air them with uppercut into combos, or break/start pressure with down 1, walking corpse, jab, or meter burn trades. Once you're in is when you start getting heavy damage, either from mix-ups, which I'll talk about soon, or by scaring them into your attacks. Remember, if you land a crouching jab, you can go on the offensive pretty much immediately. One good tactic, another one, is to bait wake-up moves or buttons with a neutral jump or a walking corpse. You can land with a jumping 2 for the jump in and get free damage. Warning, jumping 2 does not work against characters that have anti-airs as their invincible wake-up move, but I'm sure you'll figure out something. As for Grundy's combos, you can keep them simple and try to abuse his fixed wake-up moves. Use an enhanced dead air when you need to switch sides, and remember, the quicker you get them to the corner, the more damage they take. Now, I've been watching more than my fair share of Injustice streams, and while the chat talks a lot about Grundy's damage and how hype he is and blah blah blah, his relentless mix-up game is not as heavily stressed. What I like about Grundy is he can set up giant chains of damage, and take out a full bar of health from nowhere, with very little execution, and he's very rewarding with a little knowledge. Now, let me show you some simple, effective throw setups. The first, 1-1 Walking Corpse, is a good example. It connects on both hit and block, and confirms off a fast startup mid with a good range, yet it is not inescapable, not by a long shot. The opponent can neutral jump out if they see it coming, and punish with a full combo. But the point of these is to mix up, and if you predict a jump, punish it. Coming up are some more throw setups. Try them out, and choose what you like. One big thing in this game, in general, is the crouching jab. And I personally choose characters to play with good crouching jabs. Generally, it's nice to know that a crouching one on hit can go into a throw. This is a universal thing, but with Grundy, a crouching one on hit frame traps for his trade throw as well. And there's no jumping away from it if you time it right. That's pretty sweet. On block, you're at +3, but they can still throw normals out, so you can throw out an enhanced trait though, and you don't have to see if you've been hit with the jab or not. Overall, crouching one helps you maximize Grundy's momentum, so use it on occasion. Now, since Walking Corpse is good for a lot of early pokes, you can use the enhance for another mix-up as the wake-up's fixed. Here's my personal favorite. You go from the throw straight into Grave Rot and jump forward. It times perfectly to end when they wake up, and you can go for a forward 1-3 into trades. On hit, it combos. On block, still combos. If they jump right away, it catches them, and combos anyway. It's cheap stuff, but pretty effective. But I should mention they can get out of that by blocking the first 2 hits and jumping out. If they do that, they're okay and can get a full punish. But if they want to do that, raw trait on their wake up and waiting for the normals to go away suddenly becomes a terrible choice. Oh, and did I mention, if you do raw trait at the right timing, it catches jumping away too. My buddy is literally holding the up direction right now. Some people can't escape if you time this right. Now, the option to get out of both of these is a wake-up special that can't be grabbed. Some people have invincible or high-priority wake-ups, and they can punch their way out of both moves. Or can they? By armoring through their wake-up move, you can actually keep the pain train rolling. This is character-specific, so explore your different armored moves against different types of wake-ups. Now, once they reach the corner, and you push to the corner pretty fast, you can do this kind of mix-up continuously, as your throw chains leave you with enough time to throw out buttons on their wake-up. Land a throw, smack them around, they get up into another throw. At this point, they're in jail. Now, I've got a list together of what they can do to get out, and what you can do to keep them jailed. Pause if you need time to see the text. And there's many more mix-ups where that came from. Each successful throw gives you another mix-up, and, as you've seen, Grundy can vortex this over and over to the point where a few good guesses takes out an entire health bar. Just keeps going and going. Now, let's end this guide with a general opinion of Solomon's matchups with some random examples, depending on who I fought against a lot. Grundy has some strong matchups against characters who rely on a charge move. Bane's the biggest example, as you can walking corpse cancel through his charge on reaction and punish with a full combo, and the match rarely gets better for Bane from there. As you can see, Grundy's walking corpse goes through both level 1 and level 2 charges, but level 3 Venom will get through and take a chunk of life away. Grundy can punish these charges too though, and once he does, the length of the combo will cause Bane to enter his weakened recovery state, at which point you can tear through him like tissue paper. Catwoman's similar in that you can catch cat dashes with armor, and get a full combo. Her cross-ups and resets are still extremely dangerous though. Here's an example of one I saw on stream. As you can see, it crosses up. Yet, even with the crossed up inputs, Grundy has some options against this kind of thing. And one correct guess has the potential to go a long, long way. One tool in her favor is her very long-range whip jump in. But if she overuses or badly spaces this, you can still catch it with uppercut, down forward 1, or his meter burn trait. It's rare, but you can. Moving on. Fighting Nightwing as Grundy is hard for me personally, but a Grundy player does have a few tools to combat him. First, his Eskrima jump-ins are short. You can handle that. But Wingdings are a bit tougher. Against Wingdings, with a walking corpse cancel, you can dash up and anti-air him while he's in recovery, allowing you a full combo. As always, one hit is sometimes all it takes. In Staff, though, his pressure becomes pretty nasty, but he has a lot of gaps in his pressure, during which you can insert a meter burn trait or a walking corpse. Look for patterns and see if you can punish them consistently. Far away, his staff zoning is insane, with one of the scariest seismos at +9 on block. After one of these connects, hit or block, your swamp hands are too slow to interrupt. You have the option of walking corpse canceling and dashing through, but you can eat a lot of damage. One decent tactic, which I just did, is to dodge one seismo, and then meter burn swamp hands the second. It'll allow you to close the gap. In contrast, his ground spark game is really easy to get around with swamp hands. It trades favorably for you. Just keep an eye out for Wingdings. Seriously, I have no problems against ground spark. In general, zoners are kind of annoying for Grundy to deal with, but very manageable if you play it right. It depends on the zoner. If they're ground-based, Grundy can either trade with swamp hands, fish with meter burn swamp hands, or just dash, duck, and be patient. My example here is Ares, but no matter who it is, be tenacious. Once you get the opponent to the corner, you'll catch up. Air-dominant characters are a very different story, however. Case in point, Wonder Woman is pretty hard to fight in neutral. She's mobile in the air, which Grundy can't cover too well, and her safe whip smack, though it can be armored, out-footsies Grundy easily, and it's pretty fast on startup. Her dive kicks are kind of hard to anti-air, his uppercut's inconsistent against it, and her jump-ins. And she can escape the corner very easily with her forward dive. The matchup is still pretty manageable, though. Just predict her moves, and you can punish them. You just have to do a bit of semi-safe guesswork. Green Lantern is one of Grundy's worst matchups in my opinion, anyway, as you can't effectively interrupt his Gatling strings. Walking Corpse has 3 hits of armor, so the 4 hits of Gatling really sucks for Grundy, even worse if he spends the meter. His air projectiles are dangerous too, and his zoning gives you no chance to throw out an enhanced Swamp Hands. He also has a nifty corner escape in addition to all of his other tools. It gets infuriating. Batman's also pretty hard for me. His bats are a nuisance, and let him get in for free at times. And this string is just damn annoying in general. But a few of his strings you can interrupt midway, meaning you can YOLO armor a lot of his stuff. Also, if he ever tries to grappling hook from a distance, duck and swamp hand, then put him on the defensive. Just a note, his wake-up slide goes under trades, but not walking corpse cancel. And now we get to the Superman matchup, which is pretty much abysmal. Between outfootseeing Grundy into brain-dead pressure, forward 2-3, and the one-sided zoning wars, and the full-screen push from his air lasers, and his trades, this matchup is generally hard as hell. Good luck. I suggest picking a different character against Superman. And, well, that's my guide. I think Solomon Grundy is a fun character, unique, and personally, he's one of my favorite grapplers in any fighting game. He has some bad matchups, but that does not matter once you get them to the corner. And now for an obligatory ending cutscene.
Do you think Grundy's soul is waiting for him?
Grundy, I don't believe... Yes, it's waiting for you.
Then Grundy gets his reward.